Most football matches come and go, some give you drama, others glory, but a rare few leave a mark, deep and unforgettable. The 2010 FIFA World Cup final wasn't just about Spain versus the Netherlands. It was about history, heartbreak and healing, a trophy lifted for the first time, a continent hosting for the first time, and one goal dedicated not to glory, but to a lost friend. This is the story of why that night in Johannesburg still lingers in our hearts. The Cup final wasn't just another match, it was the culmination of decades of hopes, frustrations and footballing evolution for two of Europe's most storied yet unfulfilled nations. Both Spain and the Netherlands came into the final with the weight of national expectations on their shoulders, and both had a long emotional history with the tournament. For the Netherlands, this was their third World Cup final. They had reached the cusp of glory twice before, in 1974 and 1978, only to suffer heartbreaking defeats. The legendary teams of Johan Cruyff and Johan Neeskens had revolutionised football with total football. But despite dazzling the world, they never lifted the trophy. For Dutch fans, the World Cup represented unfinished business. 32 years had passed since their last final. This wasn't just a game, it was a chance to rewrite their legacy. Spain, by contrast, had never even reached a World Cup final before 2010. Despite producing generations of talented players and boasting one of the strongest domestic leagues in the world, their national team had long underperformed on the global stage. For decades, Spain had been labelled as perennial underachievers, but things began to change in 2008 when they won the UEFA European Championship. That victory ignited a new era. With a midfield orchestrated by Xavi and Iniesta and a defensive core led by Casillas and Puyol, Spain played with a calm, technical brilliance that was redefining international football. This final was also uniquely significant because it was the first ever World Cup held on African soil. South Africa, a country still healing from the scars of apartheid, had won the right to host the tournament in 2004. Many doubted they could even pull it off, but by July 2010, they had proved the skeptics wrong. The tournament was vibrant, energetic and deeply emotional. The vuvuzelas became the sound of a continent celebrating. The world didn't just witness football in Africa, it witnessed African football culture on full display. Hosting the final was more than a logistical triumph, it was a statement of global unity. So, as Spain and the Netherlands lined up at Soccer City in Johannesburg, the moment was soaked in emotion. For both sides, it was the closest they had come in a generation to fulfilling their World Cup dreams. For the sport, it was a turning point, a match that would crown a new champion, and for South Africa, it was a proud moment that symbolised how far the nation had come. Spain's journey to the final was anything but smooth. They started with a shock 1-0 defeat to Switzerland, an opening day stumble that made critics question their title hopes. But they bounced back, beating Honduras and Chile to top their group. What followed was a run of narrow clinical victories, 1-0 against Portugal in the round of 16 and another 1-0 against Paraguay in the quarters, and a measured 1-0 win over Germany in the semi-final. Spain's tournament was defined by control, precision and resilience, no high scorelines but high standards. The Netherlands, on the other hand, came through Group E undefeated, beating Denmark, Japan and Cameroon. Their confidence grew with every match. In the quarter-finals, they stunned Brazil 2-1 and edged past Uruguay 3-2 in a thrilling semi-final. Their football was aggressive, at times chaotic, but always entertaining. They had flair, fight and the look of a team determined to win it all finally. It wasn't just about talent anymore, it was about fate. The 2010 World Cup final was expected to be a showcase of beautiful football, Spain's elegant tiki-taka versus the Netherlands' attacking flair. But when the whistle blew at Soccer City in Johannesburg, what followed wasn't a graceful chess match, it was a war. From the start, the match was physical, tense and riddled with fouls. The Netherlands came in with a plan: disrupt Spain's rhythm by pressing high and hitting hard. It worked, but it turned the game ugly. Referee Howard Webb handed out a record 14 yellow cards, including a red for Dutch defender John Heitinga in extra time. Nigel de Jong's infamous kung fu kick to Xabi Alonso's chest summed it up. This final would be remembered as much for its brutality as its brilliance. Yet, beneath the chaos, there was drama. Arjen Robben had the best chance for the Dutch, going one-on-one with Iker Casillas in the 62nd minute. But Casillas saved it with a desperate outstretched foot, a moment that changed everything. Spain stayed calm, kept passing, kept believing. They had waited too long for this to fall apart now. Then, in the 116th minute of extra time, it happened. After almost 2 hours of physical, psychological and emotional warfare on the pitch, the decisive moment arrived. Spain had been pushing, probing, recycling possession with tireless precision. Cesc Fabregas received the ball near the edge of the Dutch box. With defenders scrambling, he slipped a perfectly timed pass to Andres Iniesta, who took a deft touch to set himself up. Time seemed to pause. Iniesta struck the ball low and hard with his right foot. It rocketed past Dutch goalkeeper Martin Stekelenburg and slammed into the back of the net. The stadium erupted, commentators screamed, the Spanish bench exploded with joy, players streaming onto the field. Iniesta tore off his jersey, sprinting across the pitch in raw, unfiltered emotion. But it wasn't just a celebration, it was a tribute. Underneath his jersey, he revealed a white undershirt with handwritten words, Danny Yark, siempre con nosotros. Danny Yark, always with us. That goal changed everything. It wasn't just the winning strike in the most important match in Spain's footballing history. It was a deeply human, poignant moment that united the personal with the historic. For Spain, it meant their first World Cup was within reach. For Iniesta, it meant honouring the memory of his late friend. For fans around the world, it was a moment of pure catharsis, the eruption of joy, relief, legacy and grief in a single motion. For the Dutch, it was heartbreak again, another final, another loss, and this one felt especially bitter. They had chances, they had the hunger, but it slipped through their fingers. Critics later debated their approach, too physical, too negative, but it was clear that they left everything on the pitch. The pain was raw, for Arjen Robben, for Wesley Sneijder, for a team that played with so much heart all tournament, it was a devastating ending. But to be in 3 finals, to be part of such epic battles, is a legacy in itself. The Netherlands added another chapter to their long and dramatic World Cup history. Even in defeat, they gave us one of the most gripping, emotional matches in the modern era. Some finals give us great goals, some finals give us great drama. The 2010 World Cup final gave us both, but it also gave us soul. The setting mattered. This was Africa's first time hosting the tournament. The vuvuzelas, the colours, the pride of South Africa shining on a global stage. This alone made it historic. Then there were the stakes. 2 nations chasing their first ever World Cup. The tightest of margins, the stunning saves, the cards, the exhaustion, the catharsis. And in the middle of it all, a goal that didn't just win a game, it told a story. A story of friendship, of loss, of dedication. When Iniesta lifted his eyes to the sky, it wasn't just for Yark, it was for everyone who's ever loved and lost and still found joy in the beauty of the game. Spain's win also changed how football was played. Their tiki-taka style, all passes and patience, became the blueprint for years to come. It was the beginning of an era, the first European team to win a World Cup outside of Europe, the fewest goals conceded by any winner. The golden generation fulfilled their destiny. Spain's win in 2010 wasn't the end, but the beginning of a dynasty. At the 2012 European Championships, they retained their title with a dominant 4-0 win in the final. For that period, they were untouchable, controlling matches, dictating tempo, redefining dominance. Andres Iniesta, Iker Casillas, Xavi, Sergio Busquets and David Villa, their names became legends. But that night in South Africa was the crown jewel. It was the night they proved to the world that they could win on the biggest stage. It was the night Spain's heartbreaks and near misses finally transformed into triumph. And for the sport itself, it was a reminder of why we watch the beautiful game. Whether you were cheering for Spain, rooting for the Netherlands, or just soaking in the energy of an historic moment, that night had something for every football fan. The emotion, the intensity, the noise, it all came together in one unforgettable event. So, what do you think? Was the 2010 World Cup final everything you hoped for, or did it leave you wanting more? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this look back at one of football's biggest moments, give the video a thumbs up and subscribe for more sports stories. Thanks for watching. Until the next time.